So good evening and welcome back to my live stream. So tonight we're covering some pretty complex subjects. So I kind of pre-recorded my sound bites and I think I have a really good show for you that you're going to be interested in. And I know that a lot of you are going to want to weigh your thoughts in on this same subject. So what I'm talking about tonight is trying to understand the cast or the testimony that we heard in the hearings by Cy Ray. Because recently there was a video that somewhat rebutted some of the testimony of Cy. And so I thought I'd dive a little bit deeper and see what information I could bring to you on this. So I've made a little presentation for you and I'll interact with the chat and we'll just go over everything. So with that, let's begin. And just welcome to the chat. I was just looking at who's here a little bit earlier. We've got a great crowd tonight, and I know you guys are going to be interested. I've linked a few creators below who I feature in this video. And yeah, so go check out their channels. I'll make sure to put banners up and name everybody as we go. So with that, let me get my presentation up. All right. So when I was studying this, there's just so many different angles we went, and I brought up some of the most valuable sound bites that I could find regarding this. And if you have any other sound bites or creators you'd like me to check out, I'd love your recommendations. So let me go ahead and start this video. I think I know who old Granny Annie is traveling again is, but I won't give away your alias. Wait, what Twiz? Hold on. Drunk Turkey Show also, I was promised a vid. Twiz, if you want to come up, I'll drop you a link. Oh, thanks for being here, Daniel. All right, let's get going. Wait, what are you guys saying? I'm not even paying attention. I'm sorry. So thank you for joining me tonight. So I've been trying to get a better grasp on the caste system and what is referenced in Exhibit A or the PCA in the case against Bryan Kohberger. And I specifically want to talk about what was recently rebutted regarding Cy Ray's testimony in the hearing that we saw him in a couple months back in a recent video on YouTube. Now, after taking a look at this PCA, I want to show you something. We're going to go to the map that is documented as BK's route. It's right here on page 15. So take a look at this map. This is entered in as evidence, but this is only a guess as to exactly the route that Bryan Kohberger would have taken leaving the crime scene. You can see up here where my cursor is, where this blue arrow is, that's the crime scene. And you can see BK's route here, and then you see a gap in it right here. And then you see another part of the route going down here, another gap. And then you can follow all the way up here, and his phone came back. back online right about here-ish. You see another gap here, and then another gap here back to the red arrow, which is BK's residence. So a couple of things immediately struck me about this once I knew the process of the cast. Now, I am not an expert. I only know what I have studied in terms of what I just said a second ago is Daniel's in the audience, and Daniel, I do mention your name in this video. So anything I have to say, you're welcome to come up and rebut. Anyone is welcome on panel too. I'm just learning just like everyone else. So, but these are the questions and concerns that I have about this new testimony that we heard in the recent video on YouTube. What's been presented in the public. So I'm open to everybody's comments and opinions on this. But let me tell you how I understand it at this point. So these holes where he's leaving the house are extremely confusing to me, because at this point, BK's cell phone was allegedly not making any contact. It was making no signals. So how would they know if there's a coverage gap right there? Let's talk about this a little bit more. I mean, if we go down further on this map, they would kind of know there's no real dispute what highway he went, because he did pick up enough cell phone coverage at some point that they were able to triangulate his phone. And that's very basic terminology I'm using. There are a lot more advanced systems. And even what we seem to forget is there's also something on the phone, which we're not discussing. I do want to make it clear, because obviously we all respect Daniel and I appreciate that he has me on a guest on a show. So I want to make sure you guys know before I get started with all of this, that Daniel has a show, I think it's tomorrow, Wednesday, and he's going to have a guest on named Forensic Frenzy. And she's basically, I'm basically giving a rebuttal to that interview that he has coming up. I don't know what's going to be in the interview. Obviously, she has some things to say that have never been said on YouTube. So we all want to check it out. I will definitely be watching, and I'll share it in my community tab before the interview. But let's continue. This thing called metadata. We hear no discussion of that, but the metadata would indicate that too. Now let's go ahead and just scoot this up to page 19. Oh, I'm going to stop here. And let's get to 1021. Okay, so for some reason, I can't find the quote in this affidavit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the actual soundbite from TRP, and I can't explain it better than them anyway. I had wrote down this soundbite. It is approximately, let's see, it's about 5 minutes long, but I think it's worth it. And so they're going to be showing you where the affidavit says that he was immediately leaving the house. And the reason why that's important is because if the phone was making no connection to the tower, how would they be able to locate it immediately following the crime? That word immediately. So a lot of us, when we first read this, we assumed there was a picture. There was some sort of surveillance of suspect vehicle number 1. But we just heard in open court, we just heard AT ask that question on the stand, and she was told, no, there is no photograph. It was said under oath, and it was emphasized. So let's go ahead and listen to this soundbite. I think you'll find this really interesting. I'm just gonna pull this up for you. I gotta keep track of my sound bites here. All right, so you put a little screensaver up. And so this is Thought Riot Podcast. I'll go ahead and put a banner up while it's playing. And if you want to just go give them a sub, they have a lot of great content. And I can't wait for them to come back on YouTube. We haven't seen them in a while. Okay, here we go.
It was literally on page 19 the whole time.
Okay, I mean,
right
look,
there.
that's a symptom of ADHD. I can't help it. Okay, I can't help it. So you know that it's literal. Like, look up symptoms of ADHD, and they'll tell you that you always lose things, and then the thing that you're looking for will literally be in front of your face, and you can't see it. I don't know why. I think it's because you have such high sensory, you're taking in everything else and you're missing it. I don't know. I'm not sure.
I have the same problem.
But okay, so this is important right here. Based off the King Road residence contained a significant is most likely evidence transferred to Kohberger based on the location of the suspect vehicle and the 8458 phone immediately following the murders. It is probable that Kohberger went home to his residence at his apartment. Based on the location of the suspect's vehicle and the 8458 phone.
Immediately.
Yeah, that's a huge deal.
Well, that's
like massive deal.
It is a big deal. And that makes me wonder why that little yellow line is there. Like they know, like he's connected to something immediately after the murders and like they know where he's going. That's what that yellow line is indicating. And it doesn't make sense because literally in Blaker's or in Payne's PCA, it says that he didn't connect to any towers between 3 and 5 a.m.
Exactly.
Which makes it not possible for them to have tracked him at all right there.
I want to pause just because I saw a really good comment right here by Angie Clark, which is a point that I didn't think of, which is maybe when they were writing that map, those little gaps, and we can only speculate. We have no idea how they would have known. But she's saying she knows. I mean, I'll just read it. If you know there's a spot where the signal drops, it's probably not surprising. For instance, I always lose calls in a specific area on my commute home. So yes, maybe there's like a known hole in the coverage, and that's how they determine those. But we can only speculate. Good comment. No, I wish TRP was back, but they still have really great relevant videos and a ton of material. So definitely go check them out. I mean, this live stream is like, I want to say it's like 3 or 4 hours, and it's really thorough.
That's exactly it. Exactly it. And then when you come over to Payne's, we have evidence here that he was nowhere near there between 3 and 5 a.m.
Well, that his phone didn't.
And we're just going to clarify because Twiz has done extensive research on this, and Twiz is one of my fact checkers, and he says that map has nothing to do with cell service dropping, by the way. So I don't know what it does, but maybe you can elaborate on that, Twiz.
Ping there.
Yep. Hang on. Okay. It's likely evidence transferred to Kohberger based on the location of the suspect vehicle and the 8458 phone immediately following the murders. It is probable that Kohberger went home to his residence at his apartment. Based on the location of the suspect's vehicle and the 8458 phone.
Immediately.
Yeah, that's a huge.
All right, so I will just drop a link because obviously there's people who want to weigh in on this, but it's just for, creators. And if I don't recognize you, just make sure you show your face, but mainly for Twiz or Daniel or Heather, because both of them are featured in this. Or if Sigma Chai is watching, I featured him in this too, because he got me watching his channel again today because he dragged me into a debate. but we won't get into that. All right, so there's the link. It would be fun if Sigma Chai came up. I tagged him, so hopefully he's watching right now. But I don't know if an AI bot can talk on this. Just kidding. Let's go.
Huge deal.
Well, that's
like massive deal.
It is a big deal. And that makes me wonder why that little yellow line is there. Like they know, like he's connected to something immediately after the murders and like they know where he's going. That's what that yellow line is indicating. And it doesn't make sense because literally in Blaker's or in Payne's PCA, it says that he didn't connect to any towers between 3 and 5 a.m.
Exactly.
Which makes it not possible for them to have tracked him at all right there.
That's exactly it. Exactly it. And then when you come over to Payne's, we have evidence here that he was nowhere near there between 3 and 5 a.m.
Well, that his phone didn't ping there.
Yep. Hang on. Okay. And then this is the other.
What I did say, what I really was trying to say is, if you want to hear about this more in depth, I was referencing Tom Rivers' comment right here. If you want to hear about this subject more in depth on, if you go to DTS, Drunk Turkey Show's last live stream, Twiz and Daniel had a really spirited debate on panel, and you can learn a lot about this subject. So I highly recommend it. In fact, I'll write myself a note and link it at the bottom of at the end of the show, because it's a great research tool.
Important part right here too. Investigators found that the 8458 phone did connect to a cell tower that provides service to Moscow on November 14th, but investigators do not believe the 8458 phone was in Moscow on that date. The 8458 phone has not connected to any towers that provide service to Moscow since that date. You guys, that is massive. That is huge. The reason being is because there are no towers that supposedly reach over to where he lives. That's why I'm having such a hard time understanding this blue line. I need to understand what tower this blue line is indicating. There are 3 in Moscow. 2 overlap with the residence, the 1122 residence. One of them is a mini cell tower on top of the student living in, what's that tower called? Theophilus Tower. Yep. And then the other one is south of Moscow, which is a full-size tower, okay? The third one is the one that's on top of the water tower and does not reach 1122 and does not point towards the direction of Bryan Kohberger's house. So how? I don't understand. I don't get it.
I don't know. It's really weird.
It makes no sense. And then you have the statement of Blaker, right? And you have the statement of Payne, who are saying the exact opposite things. That he connected immediately from 1122 residence with the 8458 phone. So
wait, what?
Blaker's statement says he confirms with the 8458 phone that he is immediately leaving the 1122 residence
and going home.
Correct. I don't even care about where he's going. The fact that they're claiming he's connected. So that leads into the question here of, okay, well, where's the flaw then? Who's lying? Was one
God. All right, let me start over. So what I wanted to say, let me find Twiz's comment again. Oh gosh. So Twiz said, let me go back up. Twiz said this about the fourth tower. So Twiz said the fourth tower that covers 1122 is interesting though. So you're going to have to explain that to us, Twiz, in some sort of way if you can, because in this video, Brandon is saying that there wasn't a fourth tower until he got further south. That there was a fourth tower, they could find his exact location, but we're at the crime scene, they didn't have a fourth tower. And he says that's a problem with the cast. So maybe this video has some incorrect information. And I'd be really interested to hear where that fourth tower is. But it doesn't come up till the end. So just table that what I'm talking about right now. And I starred your comment and we'll get back to it. Let's go.
one of these written before they had the evidence? Or are these being written to get a judge to sign off on a warrant and none of this is true? Both of those things sound really shady. One of them's either incompetence because they didn't know, they weren't updating their officers with the war room, going through every single one of these details, or the other one is they're intentionally lying to set up a strong case to get their search warrant approved.
Well, is that why they didn't go through with the preliminary hearing?
Oh, dude, 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, right, to play devil's advocate, almost every capital case, I think it's like over 95% of them in Idaho use grand juries. Unfortunately, because it's really unfair.
Because the prosecutors are lazy.
Yeah. But just staying on top of the cell phone evidence, like this is a big deal. You have two officers, one submitting.
So Twiz, this video was right before Valentine's Day. So it's like 5 months old or whatever. I think it was right before Valentine's Day. I'll have to look. So if that helps with your information, because that would make a lot of sense, because basically what they're saying at the end of this video is if you have FBI cast, the standard is 4 towers to have it even be admissible in court. It doesn't mean that you can't enter it into evidence. You can, they said like you can enter anything, but to have it be cast certified, it needs 4 towers to do that. And we're not even getting into the metadata right now, just simply into this.
A sworn statement, you guys. That's very important here. These are sworn statements.
Yeah.
Under oath statements.
Just so you know, about him immediately going home and the blood evidence, we have a video coming out on that. Brennan's just focusing on the cell.
All right. So now we're going to get into, so things got a little bit, like we started talking a lot about the Garrett Discovery Report this week. Like everybody was talking about it. And this is my first live stream in a few days. So I'm sort of playing catch up and giving my sort of opinion on it. It's a really interesting subject. And yeah, so let's get into this. Okay. Let's talk about something else, and we're going to tie it all in now. So the document that we're looking at right here is part of the Garrett discovery. This is a leaked document. I know about it because my mods were leaked this document several months ago. So we've gone over what's in it, and I don't want to pretend that I have an— oh, great. What's going on with my stream? I don't know why this is happening. We'll just wait, I guess. Hold on. That's weird. My stream is completely frozen right before we get to Garrett Discovery. I mean, it's okay. I can talk on it if we— I'm just going down. All right, let me see if I can do something about this. All right, here we go. What the heck? I'm sorry, I'm having technical difficulties. I disappeared for a minute. I didn't know what was going on. Okay. Oh, hey. Hold on. I opened a new page. I'm just going to put like a banner up over my face while I do this. I'm sorry. But this is where we start getting into like the really interesting stuff. So it's worth the wait. Okay, I got it. Enough knowledge to break down everything. But essentially, this document takes a bunch of social media accounts that were allegedly linked to Bryan Kohberger, and it brings up a lot of search terms. For instance, they have all the hashtags that were used on Instagram. Many people have searched these. It's been brought to my attention that, like, for instance, one of these tags followed a plastic surgeon that allegedly BK was following when he got a tummy tuck. So there's stuff like that, you know, and people don't have a direct connection, but they have found some things they think tie it to BK. So a couple things before, well, let's first talk about this discovery a little bit. This is what perplexes me about this, is that this is really fascinating, because we were told that that a creator who's been studying this and recently interviewed the person whose company is responsible for this mapping is going to be going on the Drunk Turkey show, and she's going to be revealing some evidence to all of us. And I find that fascinating, because for one, if it were evidence, I don't understand how it's able to be talked about in public. And I do know the answer to that question. If it were evidence, we wouldn't be able to talk about it in public openly like this, and it would be under the gag order. So we know it's not evidence. So why are we being told that it's evidence? And if it was evidence, why is it being presented to the Drunk Turkey show and not to the MPD or the FBI? So it's very confusing. And I'm going to stop there and just say, that is not a slight on the Drunk Turkey show. They want to take their leads wherever they can get them. So good for them for nailing that interview. That wasn't meant to be a slight on them, because we like the Drunk Turkey show. Confusing to me. So I just kind of just looked at some of the comments under the video just to see what people were saying. And, you know, I have to say, I was a little surprised at some of the things I read. Hold on, let me see. So for one thing, a lot of people were following these accounts, and basically the backing behind this document, and I'll scroll through it so you can see it a little bit. The backing behind this document is several creators and their monitoring of social media when BK's arrest was announced. And the creator that presented this said that she saw just one account before all the others were created, and it was this account. So she's validating this report. But I will just give the other side of the argument, which is many other creators said that they were online and the accounts that were created were all hoaxes. You can go to Bubbly Water's channel. She has documented the whole faceless incident, which was, as far as I'm concerned, kind of reprehensible. But nonetheless, it's an example of how you can make these elaborate characters online and spoof everybody. Couple other quick points. Okay, we'll stop there. So this is a good time, especially since Heather Fitzgerald is here. Hold on. Wouldn't you say the same? Oh, 100. Okay, I am addressing this comment because Daniel, you like read my mind while I was doing this research. I had a conversation with someone about a week ago, and I completely agree with you. They convinced me by what they said. There's just no way Linda Lane would be it's going to be completely inadmissible in court. And I just wonder, what is the motivation behind leaking something like Linda Lane or leaking the Garrett discovery? I mean, because then these things, as far as I understand with my limited knowledge of the law, are now inadmissible in court. And I just like again, the person who did this report, why isn't he not under an NDA where he can talk about this on YouTube? So that's, you know, just the questions that go through my head, you know. Yeah. And Heather has a video. Heather had a couple comments on the Garrett discovery, and that's not a, I would love to hear your answers. I'm not like talking to you, I'm asking you. Wait, hold on, never was following. So there's a couple things that so Heather is one of my fact checkers. So I wanted to bring her in on this because she's talked about the Garrett discovery to me for a long time. So I mentioned this video. I knew about it since I think like March or April. I think we were talking about it. Maybe it was around April that you received the document, Heather. And from what we had gathered, we thought it wasn't accurate. And so she did some research on it. And I just wanted to read to you a couple of things that she discovered when she researched it. And again, I'll put up Heather's handle so you can, we'll put up Heather and Drunk Turkey's channel. So you can go, I mean, obviously Drunk Turkey is going to do a thorough job and probably rebut what I have to say tonight, but I'm going to put some banners up for you guys. Let's get Heather's up while we play her video, and then I'll put Drunk Turkey's up so you know where you can get the other side of the story on Wednesday. Where is your banner, Heather? Okay, here you go. All right, so some of the things Heather said about this in her discovery. She said, so she says that the phone number listed on it, and this is all speculation, this is all alleged, but she says it comes from Nancy Grace. And I have no way of verifying that. That's just word on the street. So look into that, you guys. And then it also says the phone number listed isn't Kohberger's. 99 of the pages visited are Indian, so they're from India. They're in the Indian language. You know, that's interesting. Another thing is there was a lot of stuff about hair weaves in it and makeup and a couple other things that I'm just not going to say out loud. And so anyway, the three top social media interactions were hair weaves, makeup, and then another thing I'm not going to say because I think it's a derogatory term. But regardless, I thought that was interesting. I thought that was cool. So I'm just going to play one of Heather's videos because I definitely want to plug her channel while I have the chance. Please check her out. She's trying to make like these bite-sized, you know, easy to watch videos. And next, we're going to be getting into a little quote from Sigma Chi. So you're going to want to hold on. And the title of this video is Cast Needs Adjustment After Wawa Alibi.
Now talking about item 242, the cast report. The history of this is we came to the court asking for the cast report, knowing it was relied upon last year, and the court ordered that we receive it. We received one that was stamped draft all over it. You've heard testimony about that today from Mr. Ray, and it's not a final report. And we knew that when we got it. We asked for that. We asked for the analysis behind that, and we haven't received that. We were told on February 23rd of this year that the state will provide this by March 31st. Well, March 31st came and went, and we did not get it. So on April 23rd, the state said we still don't have it. And then on May the 10th, the state responded to this request and said that because we provided additional information, Mr. Kohberger's alibi, they need more time to do work on this cast report and they'll get it to us later.
Okay, stop there. So where all this is going for me, let me take down Heather's banner and we'll put up Drunk Turkeys so you know where you can hear that interview on Wednesday. Oops. Why isn't it not going up? Oh, I have it on I have it on scroll. Hold on. Let me change that. Okay. So that's Drunk Turkey Show, where you can find the interview on Wednesday. But what I really want to get into is something else that was mentioned in that interview we saw earlier this week or last week, which was the mentioning of the metadata. And this is something that I feel like I talk about all the time and nobody, I just feel like it's never addressed. And so aside from what we're talking about with the signal, there's also metadata unique to the phone. And what I'm going to do is just play a video because a few videos I went back and forth with an old channel named Get a Clue. That channel is called Gone for Good now, and it's inactive. And this is a video that was on there. It was a rebuttal video that he did to my metadata video, but it's really thorough. And he actually wrote an entire Substack article on it. So I linked his Substack below, and his new channel is Sigma Chi. I made a banner. Hold on. So without further ado, let's listen to Sigma Chi. Here we go. Oh, whoops, that's the wrong one. Okay, here we go. Things I want to make before we start getting into Psi-Ray here. Let's see. So now, you know what, let's just get right into Psi-Ray. One of the things that kind of bothered me is that at the beginning of this argument, it did feel like the person speaking was somewhat trying to discredit Psi-Ray. It was kind of like a smokescreen of authority to me, and it's a good move if you're trying to say that you're. Hold on a second. Our presentation is. I don't think I'm starting at the right soundbite. Hold on. So after Heather, oh, I'm not. I'm supposed to start at 25. Oh yeah. Yeah, this is right. Let me just make sure it goes. We're not going to get in Sigma. Oh, we already listened to Sigma Chi. I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm talking about. We're going back to Thought Riot podcast. Sorry to be such a ditz. Let me set this up again. Oh my gosh. We're going back to Thought Riot podcast, and what and then in this clip, this is talking a little bit more about why it's hard to even say that this information is correct or not, because there just doesn't appear to have the information. And Twiz, you might be able to speak on this, because he does go into the what between 1 and 4 towers can show you as far as information. All right, here we go. Is more accurate than another person. Cut them down a little is always a good way to do that. Oh, this isn't it. He is also selling. All right. I'm scared I'm going to play something that I didn't want to play. That's the problem. A product. And we all have to remember that too. He's selling a product. And so there is going to be marketing attached to anything that he says, allegedly. He has evidence. One of the things. Hold on a second. Here we go. On a small YouTube channel.
Oh,
Other gosh, I'm such an issues with when we look at we look at the accuracy of anything. One of the things that's confused many of us from the beginning is, well, here, let's look at the accuracy of the casting, and then I'm going to talk about metadata, because I really want to show you guys a couple more clips. So let's start with, let's go back to first we're going to go back to the Thought Riot podcast, and then after that, I do want to address this comment right here, because I vacillated on this for so long about Kaylee's LinkedIn. And I will tell you, I no longer believe that things played out the way we initially perceived they did with Kaylee's LinkedIn account. And the evidence I would bring to what I'm saying right now is a statement that Olivia did give out, saying that the LinkedIn account didn't just come live because someone logged in. It was a misunderstanding in that part. And if I'm misspeaking, I do apologize. And then the date where it was screenshotted, where it was active was after November 13th. So we know the account wasn't actually deleted that day. So I don't know if it was a misunderstanding or a misspeak, but that's my understanding. And if I got that story wrong, I'd love for somebody to just correct me on that. I always want to have the most accurate information I can. Let's go. I'm going to bring up an old clip of Get a Clue, and I think you're going to find this. Oh, it is Get a. Okay, here we go. Yeah. All right, let me get my banner, my Sigma Chi banner back up. All right, so this is a less than a 3-minute clip, but it's kind of rebutting. It's kind of, it's kind of piggybacking on what I just said about lacking information and what you're actually capable of. And then we're going to get into some quality control. Why is this happening? It's like, cool. Because the fact of the matter is the evidence at hand might not be good enough to actually be admissible in court. There appears to be not enough quality control in it. And we're going to get into all of that. So we got 3 clips coming up. We're going to go boom, boom, boom. Let's go.
There is a tower right around here somewhere, and there is a tower right here, okay? And on these towers that are right here, this is Bryan Kohberger's believed route, which, like, come on, this is the route he drove. Like, nobody's questioning whether he drove this or not. It's pretty obvious, right? There's an antenna here, and this is how you would expect that antenna to.
Daniel, if nobody's talking about how accurate it is, we're going to talk about that right now, because me and Sigma Chi are fully aware of what the metadata is going to read. And we've always wondered why they aren't talking metadata in court. But I agree with you. Yes, the metadata is going to mean everything. It's you know, you talk about the microchip in there. You have magnetometers and gyroscopes, and every time that phone moves, it's indicated. Furthermore, if somebody was to say, hey, he dropped his phone off over here and then went and committed the crime, you can't fake that with what's recorded in the metadata, because an idle phone would show it was idle. It wasn't on your person. Even in your car, sitting idly on your seat, it's going to track the movement. So we're going to know, you know, we're going to know so much. And I wonder what they already do know and how it plays into this. Because if it goes against what Sai's testimony is, why didn't they just pull up that metadata and dismiss it right there? I wonder. Just questions that come to my head. Let's go.
To look, okay? So just remember this picture with the white bars and how they know where he is without having any actual reliable triangulation is because of the white bars that I was telling you guys about. So as he's driving, he would be picked up on white bars on this side over here, all right?
Thank you,
and he'll keep driving, then he'll be picked up on this one. Keep driving, picked up on this one, keep driving, picked up on this one. Once you get down to this area, he is then covered by enough towers that he is able to be triangulated, okay?
Yeah, but they still have a gap right there.
I hear you. I get it. Towers aren't perfect, okay? The best way to think of a tower is the goal of every network company is to create a beehive looking coverage over the US. That is their goal. Okay. I believe that 6 sides. However, towers are 3 sides, but that is the ultimate goal. The way that they get that beehive coverage from 3 sides like this is by using those white bars, as I was saying a second ago. These ones here. These give you the honeycomb coverage, right?
Yeah, Sigma Chi is coming up next. Here we go. Old school Sigma. Okay, so we just kind of heard how they're creating the coverage, but what about one thing? I really want to know what about the metadata. Okay, so we're stopping here because I think that your comment, Daniel, couldn't come at a better time, because this is what me and Sigma Chi have been talking about for a long time. We've gone back and forth on several videos, and it's just what you're saying. Both of us have no idea why the cast has been this prominent issue. We want to know what the metadata says, particularly because if you have a starting point, I'm assuming if you have a starting point and an end point, you're going to be able to figure out the direction with, again, to say these words, magnetometers and gyroscopes inside of the phone. It's going to tell you your acceleration, if you turned right, if you turned left, if you went up, down. It's all recorded in the metadata. So I don't understand why cast from the beginning was it. So this video is interesting because it's long before Ray came out, and this is part 2 or 3 of our conversation about metadata. Of course, we were arguing and we had different standpoints, but we totally agree with you, Daniel. The metadata is this what's going to happen there is the forensic download of the phone is almost more important. Let's listen to Sigma Chi. Because the metadata isn't present. It has to do with the GPS. It has to do with the magnetometers. It has to do with the gyroscopes within the phone. And there is one person who spoke with authority on this some time back. He actually did it kind of as a rebuttal to one of my videos, but I didn't take it personally because he was trying to just make the conversation deeper. And so I'm going to play this. I'll put up a banner. Now, what I'm going to play you is from a channel that was formerly called, I didn't share it. I'll pull it up. I'm playing you a video that was from a channel formerly called Get a Clue. Its handle now is Sigma Chi. So I have to make a new banner. Actually, that's not his handle. That is not his handle. That's the name of his channel. His handle is, I can't even say it. It's Brent Kohberger. Play this video, and then this is another 4-minute clip, but it's going to explain how the metadata, not the cast, but the metadata is really what's going to nail either the defense or the prosecution is going to nail that nail. So let's listen, and I'll get a banner up. I'll also link Get a Clue's Substack below so that you can go read. He probably has this actual article archived somewhere. So here we go.
The suspect was also linked to another high-profile crime involving Kylie Jenner.
Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we're discussing the Idaho4 case again and discussing new theories of metadata and motive. And you're going to want to keep watching, because when we talk about motive, I'm going to tie in a true crime story that involves none other than Kylie Jenner. And it is. I have to pause this because I don't want to get blamed for the mispronunciation. So RJ says Sigma Chi is how it is pronounced, like the Greek alphabet. And I am 100% aware, but he's actually, it's satire. He's making fun of people who mispronounce the name of the fraternity Sigma Chi. So he's calling himself Sigma Chi. So I do appreciate that. And I didn't want to confuse anyone. Anyway, I don't know why I'm talking. Let's go. Unaliving, her innocent name was dragged into, and I'd like to tell you the story and tie that into some of the things we were talking about when it comes to motive. So we're going to begin with Get a Clue, and we're starting with his Substack article, and I've linked the Substack and his YouTube channel below. Let's hear what he has to say with the metadata theory.
So I would assume they turned that over, but I don't know. I don't know if I can assume anything related to this case any longer. Can you? What is phone metadata digital evidence? Simply put, metadata is data about data. A phone's metadata describes key facts about an individual data file, such as phone calls, photographs, texts, etc., With this data, you might reveal habits, activities, and interests, or even uncover a lie. I think I'm correct when I say that the metadata will show if the battery went dead. And that's why the phone was not communicating with the network. If not that, it would show that the phone was turned off by the user by the power button, and that's why it wasn't communicating with the network. If not that, it would show that the phone was put into airplane mode. The metadata would show that. And if not that, it would show that the phone was on the entire time then by process of elimination and also by the metadata itself. And if that's the case and it's not communicating with the network, it means that it is in an area of no coverage and therefore could not have been in Moscow and Pullman. In my opinion, this is a case breaker right here in and of itself. The state itself, this is the whole state's case right now. The state has put the phone with the vehicle. Okay, so since the phone is with the vehicle, the suspect vehicle 1 and the phone are one and the same for all intents and purposes. They're one unit. And this is per the state's case. They are one unit. Meaning, if the phone can be shown as to not being in Moscow or Pullman at the time of massacres, because it's in a place of no cell coverage, then that means suspect vehicle 1 is not the defendant's vehicle. You don't even have to identify it at that point. And if the defendant's vehicle, therefore, is not suspect vehicle 1, as the state believed it was heretofore, then the defendant was not there during the time of the massacre. He did not have opportunity. They want this ex parte with the judge so they can say, listen, this case should not go forward. This is a travesty of justice. This is a waste of the court's time. And
okay, so I'm just going to pause here. So Get a Clue is doing a really good job, but he wasn't aware of one additional plausible possibility. He is missing one.
So let's read this comment. The difference when you use TOCA is that you get a physical barrier between the phone and the signals it receives. So it really is impossible to track. Conductive material that blocks all signals. This means you can't be located and your data privacy is secure. And then he says there's a way to turn off GPS tracking. And TOCA just told us, no, the only way you can do it is to get their product or products similar to it.
Just remember there was a warrant in October for BK's Amazon searches. So I did a little Amazon search and look at all these affordable devices that block your signal. So
okay. Okay, so now am I supposed to stop this? I've showed you that. I've talked about the metadata to you, or I've allowed Clue to give a very well articulated reasoning why the metadata is important. So now that we know we're not looking at metadata when it comes to BK's phone, what are we looking at? Okay, well, I'm going to bring it back to Thought Riot, and we're going to end with a very brief clip. This is less than 3 minutes, and what it's going to talk to you is about I'm going to stop this because Twiz, this is what I was talking about. This is where Brandon talks about the 4 towers and what's admissible to be CAS certified in court. I mean, you can bring what you want into court, but to be FBI CAS certified, you need those 4 towers. And so I think what he is saying is around the 112 King home, because we know that you can pinpoint BK's position like to a T at 448. So I don't know. I'd like to hear your take on what again, this video was made prior to Cyre's testimony, mid-February, but it's really interesting nonetheless. What they have is likely not admissible in court. There isn't the quality control and the standards that the CAS team at the FBI would normally allow or testify in court against. So is the expert actually certified? with the FBI casting network? Or is it the same as in that PCA, that affidavit that the FBI agent just has 15 years or some odd years of experience, but not actually with casting? And he's not actually cast certified. And why do I say that? Because if you just have one tower, you're looking at a range of about 1,500 to 3,000. Okay, we're not going to listen to me talk about it because I'm not smart. We'll listen to Brendan talk about it. Okay. I'll back it up just slightly. Here we go.
Ways are where you're going to find all your towers at, you guys, because of how many people pass and how they got to keep you connected as you're driving down the road.
Oh, whoops.
And everything. That town, there's not. There's one.
Hold on. Technical difficulty.
Size tower in the middle.
Oh, I have to go here. Okay, here we go.
We see him taking. So with only
I
one.
thought it was off to the right.
No, you're thinking of the Moscow Tower.
Oh.
The Moscow Tower is off to the right, but there is a full-size tower in the middle there, and one tower. There's too many variables. I can't even give you a rough estimate, but I would assume with one tower, you're probably looking at a rough estimate of between 1,500 feet and 3,000 feet. That would be their assumptive size of where he would be at. Anywhere between 1,000, like 1,500 square feet and 3,000 square. Wait, that's not right. 1,500. Hang on. So I got to do my math real quick. So 30 degrees is 120, and then 1,500 to 3,500. So 2,000. What's 120? So you're looking at 1,3. What is that? 300. So 330 square miles.
I'm going to actually ask you a question about this, Daniel, because I had another interpretation of this. So yes, I would imagine that it has a more detailed location, but I wonder, we have Frank's hearings that are going to be coming up in the case from what we understand. And I think it kind of is going down to, if the PCA is saying that they had this info on the 23rd, I mean, how did they find him? Because there's not enough information, and they didn't pull him out of a general dragnet, I guess, so to speak. I don't know the right terminology, but they didn't pluck him. How did they find him? So I think it's like one of those that I don't know why it's relevant, and I don't know why they're arguing the cast rather than the metadata, but could it have something to do with, I don't know, have something to do with that? I don't know why they're arguing it, but it's obviously a big deal, and it's obviously being talked about in court. So, and we all ask the same question, why we're not talking about metadata as well. It's beyond my understanding. I think that's one of the reasons I made this video, is so that I could show everybody where I'm at with this understanding and get other people's input to add to it, so that it's a complex subject.
Wait, what? 330 square miles?
Yeah, but you got to remember, miles squared are like, or maybe it's 33 because I didn't put the decimal. I think it is 33. 33 square miles. 33 square miles.
I was like, that doesn't sound
33.
right.
Yeah. Sorry, it takes me a second to catch up. Yeah, because the 1,500 feet to 3,000 feet is linear reliability. That doesn't take into account the 30 degree, the 1/3 of 360. So then you should take
So
that
you'd
120
think
degree
around
angle, and
or
then 2,000 by
diameter?
120. Yeah.
So I want to stop right here, and I just want to say this is like the second really great comment from you tonight, Angie. Very thought-provoking comment. She says, Ann Taylor mentioned in a motion that the information wasn't preserved. I'm wondering if she was referencing the metadata. I don't know. That's a really interesting point, because when I heard her say that, I thought that she was referencing the materials that were used to draw up the cast report. So, because they only had the draft and they didn't have the workup materials. But this is another good point.
So it's not reliable. But what's interesting is the other variable, and that's not even like,
I can't do math in my head. I don't even know what that looks like.
I don't want to get caught up on that because that isn't important and my math isn't important. And the math that I just said is rough estimates, you guys. Like, it's not important to what I'm saying here. I was only using it as to explain like how unreliable one tower is. Okay. 2 towers makes it significantly more reliable. 3 towers, they're going to be able to get you down to like a 10-foot radius. Okay. Like, you know, which is super reliable. And then in order to bring it to court, there has to be a 4th tower for a quality control tower. Otherwise, this isn't allowed to come to court unless, you know, I mean, anything's allowed to come to court, but the defense will have to agree on it. A cast member wouldn't come as an expert statement unless there's 4. That's the rules of the cast report. If there's not 4 towers, a cast member will not come to court as a representative of the government. So now going back to.
So I really wanted to present these sound bites to you, and I thought it was really interesting what he just said. Regardless of the expert, regardless of the company, when we talk about casting, and we're excluding the metadata. Let me take down this banner. What really is admissible in court? What is quality control here? Let's just hear it again.
Otherwise, this isn't allowed to come to court unless, you know, I mean, anything's allowed to come to court, but the defense will have to agree on it. A cast member wouldn't come as an expert statement. Unless there's 4. That's the rules of the cast report. If there's not 4 towers, a cast member will not come to court as a representative of the government.
Okay. And that concludes my soundbite presentation. Thank you so much. All righty. So that is the conclusion of the soundbite presentation. Hold on, let me fix this. But we have a few more things to discuss before we wrap up the live stream. And mainly because of the amazing comments you guys are making. I like this. RJ, we're never here to ignore you. That's not what this community is about. We're about having a live stream that's drama-free, sticking to the case, but most importantly, all of your questions are important. There's no dumb questions because we realize that every day there's new people following this case, and you're going to have basic questions because of the complexity and all the moving parts. We're always here to answer questions for you, so don't ever feel like that, or anyone else watching. And I starred a few comments we're going to come back to in a second. A couple by Daniel, a couple by Twiz, and a few new people I'm not. Ann Taylor has an ace in her back pocket. 100%. Twiz says, metadata and timing data show it's online, LOL. Both of which MPD did not have, but some people worship the PCA like it's the Bible. But it's very strong wording there, Twiz. I don't typically read the comments before I put them. Also, y'all know that BK said his phone will show where he was when he was arrested. You know, I'm going to bring up a starred comment I had. That kind of reminds me of Victoria's comment right here. I was going to circle back to, but we'll bring it up here. And I don't know if that was to me or if you're talking to somebody else in the chat, but we'll just go over it right now. You said, so no activity on your phone being idle shows that it's not an alibi. I know I didn't say that correctly, but I know what I am saying, LOL. Yeah, I think I know what you're saying. What I'm saying is that one of the things people say is you can't prove BK was with his phone. I've heard that probably in 5 of the last 10 conversations I've had about this subject. And each time I hear that, I remember what I learned when I learned about the metadata to the phone. You can't just idly put your phone somewhere. Like, I couldn't take my cell phone and set it down here and say I was here all night long. Because your phone has all sorts of things in it. Like, just going like this, it doesn't matter if you have if you have signal. You have little magnetometers and gyroscopes in here that tell the direction, the acceleration, the inertia of your phone. It can tell if you have a starting point, you can literally tell how far the phone has gone, how fast the phone went, and it's all recorded. And then this bounces back and forth to a GPS as well. So that's kind of what we're saying is, like, you couldn't just set this phone down. If it was in your car or on your person, it's going to show movement. If you set it down on a rock at Wawaway Park and then come back for it, you're going to know it was sitting idly on that rock. So the phone is going to have movement. And even more, they can tell if BK had this in his hand or if he had it on his seat, because each of us has a unique fingerprint when we move our phone. In fact, I shouldn't even call it a fingerprint because it's more accurate than your own fingerprint, the way you move your phone. And that information, it's stored everywhere. It's stored in your microphone. It's stored in your camera. And these unique fingerprints are what data companies are selling to each other. I mean, literally, they can identify you on a phone by the way you hold it, move it, and look at it. So it's so detailed. There's no way for him to fake. Like, you couldn't set it on like a, I don't know, on something moving and pretend he was moving. Like, he moves a unique way, which would be signatured in his phone. I'm talking way too much. And great comment, by the way. So Rebecca Bruce says, I thought they already knew his phone was off. So how could they track it if it's off? That's a great question. So we don't know if the phone was off. And the metadata will tell that. The metadata will tell if it was off, if it was in airplane mode. And they alluded to it not being off. So it sounds like the signal was blocked or the signal was not reaching a tower at that time. Whatever that means, and we'll let the experts explain it to us. But with that said, even with the signal being blocked, this metadata tells an awful lot. Like I said, it can tell how you accelerate, what speed you were going, what angle you leaned, what direction you took. So even with the signal being off, if you have a basic GPS signal at one point and then you keep moving, you're going to be able to collect a lot of data on where the phone went. It's pretty mind-blowing. I mean, if you think about it, if it can signature you just by moving and using your text messages, think about what it can do about the direction and where you end up with a little bit of calculus. Are we tainting the jury pool by continuing to go over and over the details? Do you think we're better than the FBI? I don't know if anybody's tainting the jury pool, but I would say this. The latest document that came out, the 319-page memorandum, explicitly talks about BK's jury being selected from a cross-section of his peers. He also talks about the absolutely skewed media bias in Latah County. Let me give you an example. You go over to Ada County, the local media coverage is like less than 5%. And then if you go right over to Latah, the local coverage is 23%. It's so skewed already. And all I'm saying, if mainstream media has a voice in telling one side of this, why isn't that us independent journalists aren't here giving our side of this too? And we're also talking about a witness for the defense and a witness for the prosecution giving two different accounts of what they might, or I shouldn't say that, a witness for the defense and somebody who has worked with people affiliated with the prosecution have some different opinions. And so we're discussing what they've come out publicly in interviews and talked about. And then Daniel says, or the phone is in a huge bag that can't connect to towers. And remember, the phone lost service in Pullman where the service would have been strongest. And if you remember back to the Sigma Chi video, we talked about that. Because when he was reading his Substack, he got down to the comment section, and that's when a representative from Toka Pouches had left that comment. And I actually went to Toka after he made that, and I took some footage of their website and I included it. So if you rewind this live stream, you can go back to that and see. Yeah, I'm sorry. I forbid Harry Styles from her profile picture, but I love your new profile pic. Angel D, you always have really good profile pic game. Put my glasses on. I feel like I want to look smart for the rest of this. And then David Bird says, or no time for BK to match their time frame. Good comment. Thanks for being here, Mitch Girl. And Jeff made a comment earlier. I starred a bunch of comments. Before I keep going, let's see. The time is 10:40 on here. I want to bring up some of our starred comments because people had some good stuff. So 10:40. Okay. So let's see. Twiz says, okay, we're not reading that one. I'm not here to offend anybody about their research. I think it's wonderful that people dive deep and try to get to the truth. It's amazing, and the best thing anybody can do is ask questions. That's, I feel like, our job as maybe creators and presenters of true crime. Texas Ranger says they ought to be sorry, I can't read tonight apparently. They ought to be a good one, then we need new stuff. Absolutely. Okay. Oh, and we already read that one. With proper, and I like this one. With proper analysis, the plot will thicken. And then back to this, we did hear that testimony. I still haven't gotten clarification. So Twist says the fourth tower that covers 1122 is interesting. And is that the one he talked about that was like not exactly a tower? Or is that the one that he talked about on top of the water tower that was like not really a tower? And I hate to even bring up the word because I don't know how it implies this, but no, I'm not going to say it. Oh, Drunk Turkey. Sorry, I keep calling you Drunk Turkey. Daniel says Linda Lane will be in court. And Rachel Marie, when I was talking about metadata, Rachel Marie says, Attorney Andrew Myers is also where Forensic Frenzy, I know what she's saying, Attorney Andrew Myers and Forensics Frenzy also spoke about the data a little while back. So make sure to go check out both of those creators. And then Daniel says, I asked Christy about the LinkedIn and she said it's a mystery to them too. And if you don't know what we're referencing, Chronicles of Olivia was the first one to report on this. And I've showed her short in here. It was a very confusing situation with Kaylee's social media. And we'll see. Daniel's got another one. It's not being talked about in court because that's the benefit of the prosecution. And right now we are only hearing the defense's arguments. They won't be bringing that up. Okay, but wait. The metadata hasn't been talked about in court. I think. Okay, I thought you were referencing the Garrett discovery report. I'm sorry. If you're talking about the metadata, absolutely. If you're talking about the Garrett discovery report, that's not what I'm talking about. And then Heather says, And if you listen to Cy Ray, he said after the cast is done, then he overlays the meta to make sure they match at the start of his testimony. You know, I don't recall hearing that, Heather. So I'm going to go back and listen to Cy's testimony. I miss so much. And every time, and I think it's because it's such a complex subject, I didn't understand it when I was listening to him. But with my new understanding, I definitely want to go back and hear that. And then Typically Unique says, yes, Heather Fitzgerald. So I believe the defense will talk about faux show if it shows he wasn't in the area. And then LA says, is a metadata part of the complete cast picture node? Dana? And I'm going to start this one just because Jeff got the handle up so we can see. If you are looking for, let me pull it back up, Sigma Chi. That's not his handle. That's the name of his channel. His handle is this. Oops, where did it go? Bropackaberger. Okay. All right. We got through all the starred comments. Let's go back to the comments and then we'll wrap this live stream up. I'm reading them before I put them up. I don't understand. Jeff says, would be interesting if they have dark bags at DeSales University. I don't know if that would be a component of study there. It's an interesting thought, Jeff. I don't know where that. Angel D says, okay, that is something we'll continue to discuss in the members only live tomorrow. And TNT data, are you talking about truth and transparency, or are you talking about AT&T data? That's my funny. That video was made before Drunk Turkey Show knew Walloway Park existed. I don't know what we're talking about. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about TRP. That's why I put that up. Okay, so Heather says, why couldn't Garrett Discovery actually have BK phone number or a single person email on it from social mapping? Too Fast says, okay, it is true. If you stick your cell phone in your sock and then wrap aluminum foil around your leg, it creates a magnetic field that the cell signals can pass through, nicknamed dark bag. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Oh, are we talking about in the docu-series, Mish Girl? Hey, it's the good Jen. Tom Rivers says, to Taxmax, it's been reported that the University of Idaho's internet was down from 11:30 p.m. on the 12th to 6:30 a.m. on the 13th. That was said in the Wayback Machine. Yep. Lots of. Oh, Daniel says, if the metadata was in favor for BK, we would be hearing about it from them. The fact that we don't means it's in favor of the prosecution. And because the defense is relying on the cast, their case is weak. And Twizzlestick says, Drunk Turkey Show. Yep. Certainly that man is capable of including his real number in his own personal emails. Why would hell? Well, we'll have to tune into Drunk Turkey Show and find out on Wednesday. Jeff says, good logic, drunk turkey. Poor Daniel, he's not always drunk, you guys. Just so you know. That's why I call him Daniel instead of drunk turkey. I don't know. I think we've covered like to the extent of my knowledge tonight. I know we have a lot of, oh wait. Oh yeah, wait, hold on. So Daniel says, Jeff, I've been saying it. The defense has been fighting weak arguments, this grand jury, etc. They don't have much. Yep. Maybe I should just make you a mod, Daniel, since all my mods agree with you tonight. You could be one of my fact checkers too. Yeah, thank you. Along with Tax Max Facts Thunderclaps, I thank you all for your answers in this awesome live chat. I'm learning so much tonight. Hi, American Princess. Mish girl. Okay. Also, I paid for the background check on the phone number in March. It came back being linked. You heard it right from our fellow YouTube creator. Unfalsifiable fallacy. I don't want to get it wrong. Okay, so DTS, you are a masterclass on the unfalsifiable fallacy. I hope I said that right. Twiz says, I wish there was I just wish there was actual competition. It's too easy. I don't know what's going on, obviously. Okay. Plus, Heather Fitzgerald says, if someone isn't seen on a tower dump, you can't use him not on the tower dump as if it was evidence. He wasn't seen on the tower dump. Isn't seen on the tower dump. So he wasn't seen on the tower dump. Twiz says, Swamp Rose, the metadata used, was the metadata used to arrest him? And no, that's kind of what I was going back up to when I was talking about, we heard there might be Frank's hearings comes up. How did they find him? Like, what was it? It wasn't the cast, it looks like. Maybe that's why the defense is attacking this. I don't know. I've given you guys all I know. In the Frank's, oh, sorry, I don't know why I'm being so shrilly tonight. If a Frank's hearings happens, and even if they do, doesn't mean they will win. Very true. Heather Fitzgerald, just like if you can't see where a phone is on a CDR, it means they are, okay, committing a crime. Does anyone want to come on panel? I'm going to wrap this up pretty soon. Rebecca Bruce says, Swamp. What documents are supposed to be unsealed in the next month or so? Do you know? I don't know, but I'll give that a star, Rebecca, and I'll get back to you. And maybe we have a lot of creators in the chat. Maybe somebody does know and they could give Rebecca Bruce an answer. Heather, could you just act like BK is guilty so we can debate? Okay. Batman has been a subject today. That might even warrant an entire video. Okay. Tom Rivers says, I know my phone didn't ping anywhere near Moscow, due to me being on the other side of the country, but I don't know if I have an alibi. I'm glad no one has accused me. Okay. At Twizzlestick, exactly, which only supports what I've said about not being a tower dump can't be used in the PCA to obtain another warrant. I really missed the girl on screen. I really felt like she understood what I was watching. Is that Malia? There's a lot of Malia fans in the audience. Quality control. Yeah, I think I'm really behind on the comments. I'm like 30 minutes behind. Oh my God. Same. Oh, the water tower. I don't know. I've heard speculation of lots of things on the water tower. There's a cell phone antenna up there. I've heard people speculate there could have been some sort of cell phone interceptor. I've heard lots of speculation. I've heard a camera on there, a camera that might have caught the perpetrator, suspect vehicle number 1. I don't know. Typically unique. This is why he said the maps of the state that he has seen, the data will never support those maps. And Daniel says, LA, no, the cast was done before the arrest and before the forensic download of BK's phone, which happened after the arrest, and LE does have. It's the reason why they didn't cross side. Let me give that a star because I'm going to read it again. Twiz agrees with Drunk Turkey Show. I'm with Daniel. And Angel says, excluding the metadata? Huh? That's wrong. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Could you give it a like, please? Because it's like a way to help my channel if you enjoy the content I put together. And every time you like it, it puts it in front of another person in the live stream. So if you could hit that like button, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Heather says, Daniel, so the state didn't attempt to debunk any of what he said because they couldn't talk about the metadata? And Robert says he's going live tomorrow. Robert, we will all be joining you. I do have a members live scheduled for 10 p.m., but I'll join you before then. So everyone make sure to go check out my streaming buddy, True Crime Cole, Robert. He is fresh off his vacation from YouTube, and he's putting out a lot of content. And he's had that time to refresh and go over everything. So his videos are really, really good. He's hitting the mark on all of them. Thank you. Twiz says, Heather Fitzgerald is under the gag and the defense is scared of it, obviously, because they have a weak case. LOL. I'm really far behind. Don't worry if you make a dumb comment, you will pull it up on the screen. And I'm sorry I do that. I will get better. I have gotten better. except during members only. That's a free for all. Thank you. Daniel says, Heather, the difference between prosecution and defense is timing. Defense has been jumping gun. Prosecution is going to wait till trial with jury to embarrass the cast stuff with GPS. I wonder if Sigma Chai is watching. He'd have a lot to say about this, I bet. I tagged him. Hey, Brent Kohberger. Nina says, Jeff H., I need a huge favor. I haven't, okay. Nina, thank you for your support of the channel. Make sure to visit Warning Label Nina. She has a lot of good videos too. Twiz has videos, but it's not doing a lot of recent stuff, but Twiz really has spent a lot of time during the cast. What's also good is Twiz is like boots on the ground because he goes to all of these hearings. And you can see him. He sits right behind Ann Taylor and Bryan Kohberger. So you can see his face. But it's nice to have somebody local to really get the heartbeat of the community. Blah, blah, blah. This is an interesting question from Listen Linda RN. Would Cy be able to locate every phone that was there the whole time? I don't know. I mean, I know they were studying AT&T records. I don't know if that makes any difference, but great question. I'll give it a star. Ooh, sorry. Oh, and he says, yep. Jeff says, oh, we were talking about warning label. Some of these I don't want to display. Nice to see you, Leslie. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for your modding. While I'm on the subject, thank you to all my mods. I really appreciate everything you do for me, and you keep the chat so classy. We hardly ever have any issues, so I appreciate you. Curious Rose, it's been a little while. This is C Rose. She's another creator. I met her through AR, so make sure to check out Curious Rose. I always remember something you said, Rose. You said, gosh, I wish those autopsy reports weren't redacted because as a trauma nurse, you said you could interpret a lot from those. So. All right. Well, I think we have covered all the questions. Hold on. Jeff says he could have attached his phone to a dog. Maybe they have dog harnesses that you can put your phone on a dog. Maybe the data will show the BK was arrested in certain trees in the neighborhood. Well, I understand that it is a sarcastic comment, but I do want to remind everyone, you can't fake that. Your phone has a signature. The way you hold your phone, the way you answer it, the way you do your text messages, it has a unique signature, more unique and statistically more unique than your fingerprint. So if you did put it on the dog, the metadata would instantly say, this isn't BK, this is Nanook, your whatever, your husky or whatever, Jeff. I don't have to be Syray to answer that one because I listened to Sigma Chai. No, I found that one out on my own. I will admit that. Sigma Chai. I wish I knew what you guys were talking about. I haven't kept up with the conversation. Tainting of the jury pool. Like Bloom's book, Green's book, Nancy Grace. We have a few more to add to it. Although I will say I don't have the same. I'm curious to know what's going to happen in the docuseries and in James Patterson's book. I really am, because it has that one other little element that we discussed in the video that I made on it, which is the Laramie and the Chapin family are part of those projects. And it's supposed to showcase the lives of the victims. So I'm wondering what the series is going to be about. It's going to show their daily lives. Yeah, so we'll have to see. But there are 2 more coming out. Jack Johnson says, sorry, I'm yawning. A key fob security pouch hides a phone signal entirely. Absolutely. And there's so many products. There's so many products out there. You can go on Amazon and buy, you buy them for very cheap. Oh, don't worry about wording here, because we all use our dictations and nothing ever sounds right. Commerce, Rebecca. No, I'm in Ohio. Rivers are not my last. River is not my last name. Tom is my first name. I'm still learning my way around YouTube and social media. Eventually, I'll use my real name. I don't know if that's a good idea. And then Jen says, a Faraday bag. I feel like, we have so many comments, you guys. I don't think it's ever going to end. Oh, Vivian's here. She says, I doubt they will use the Linda Lane videos. Vivian sides with me. There's been too much tampering with them. I've heard some very strong opinions on whether they'll use Linda Lane videos or not. In fact, now that we're talking about it, and now that we're going to talk about the Garrett discovery and that potential evidence now being shown to the public, we can somehow make some sort of maybe connection to Linda Lane. So if the Linda Lane is not admissible in court, which is a debate now that I think we all should have, leave your opinion. Do you think Linda Lane's admissible, or do you think Linda Lane's not admissible? Drop it in the chat, drop it below. If it isn't that kind of indicate the Garrett discovery won't be either? And I was questioning the man that was delivering that information from the company. Don't you think if the company did this report, there was some sort of non-disclosure agreement signed with it? It's kind of interesting. Lots of questions. Drop your opinions in the chat. I'm just learning too. Love to know what you think. LinkedIn creeps me out. Wait. Oh, okay. And then typically unique. I don't think it supports the other side. And she says, I'm sorry, I'm yawning. Does anyone think Linda Lane supports the prosecution? And then she says, I don't think it supports the other side. Oh, and then what Jack Johnson is clarifying, because I brought up all the other things you can get. He says, yes, but a key fob pouch is effective and discreet. I don't know. I've been saying this since Get a Clue and I were talking about the metadata. I brought the Faraday pouch up to him because I saw it in his comments section. So I don't know. I've never heard anybody talk about it, but like, what do they mean by the phone lost communication with the tower? I mean, we're going to know if it's in airplane mode, turned off, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't say the phone was turned off. What could it be? I don't know, but the metadata will tell a lot. This is an interesting comment from All's Well That Ends Well. Everyone, we all must agree it's astonishing after 2 years the FBI cast report isn't finalized yet. This is huge. Vivian, you have a lot of fans in the chat. Right. Yeah, awesome comments. I agree with my managing mod, Christy. Awesome comments today. Keep them coming. We all agree to disagree, but we have the right to our own opinions. Please stay classy to everyone. When everyone can talk, they don't fight. When you say something denigrating about someone, it'll be erased or you call someone out. But I mean, as long as there's freedom of speech and people don't have to suppress it, I found the chat gets along much better, in my opinion. Where have you been? Oh, wait, I should have read his comment before I put it up. Hold on. I'm just kidding. I'll read it up here because you're back. I don't trust what comes out of the G's fam anymore to prevent Kaylee from being who the one who went from white Tesla launch roommates from first to second floor and last calls. I wouldn't blame that all on the G's, the Rolo. I agree to disagree. Their webpage is down for maintenance. Is that TRP? Are we talking about Bot Riot? Yeah, it's so good to see you, Rolo. Thank you for showing up. Why aren't you a mod? What happened to your wrench? Did you take your own wrench away? What is your wrench? Whatever. Is Garrett coming too? That would be amazing. So Tom Rivers says, Swamp Rose, when you talked to Michael Adario, did you discuss if Bryan's signal could have been connected to a cell site simulator? We did. And I didn't bring it up in this video because I didn't want to add to confusion. I was just trying to get what we have written and build off of that in the PCA. But yes, there were some observations that Michael Adario made. One of them is what kind of brought him to start his Blow Up Moscow 11-13-22 series, which was Cy Ray said on the stand, he talked about a stingray. And he said it in terms of a van, so it was like a portable stingray, but nonetheless, it's what sort of sparked the conversation for a number of different reasons. Yes, because we have gaps in what we've heard from the casting, but I mean, I'll just show a picture here, kind of give you the gist of what he was talking about. So here's a screenshot. In this video, I was focusing on the telephone pole right there on Queen Ave. And the reason I was focusing on that first was because Michael Addario had a story that he told where he saw this picture that we all saw with the first mornings of the murder. And this was one of the pictures that kind of became iconic at first, aside from the 4 victims out back of their house. We all saw this, and immediately people start saying, is there some sort of deconnection? So Michael Addario wanted to visit where he had heard the sneakers were. Now that's because Michael Addario is a visual artist, and he was going to document it. He does a lot of aerial photography. And so anyway, he took this high resolution photo of where the shoes were on the power lines. And what was interesting is the power lines had been tied back and removed. And what he was finding is that there were all sorts of pictures. See if I can find a good one for you. Of areas where trees and signposts were blanked out, including areas of the water tower. And, there was without giving the entire video away, to paraphrase, he suggested that these could be places where they had these cell phone interceptors. And it's not out of the realm of possibility because it was mentioned on the stand. So when we talk about a cell site simulator, it can affect phones in so many different ways. So let's just say there was one in play. Maybe there's something we could learn from what's going on with these signals. Like you're saying, could this be a way that they picked up on the phone? I mean, they did say immediately after leaving the house, they had it. And we heard AT say on the stand, they have no picture. These cell site simulators, you sign NDAs with the company that has them, and you're not allowed to say that you're using them in court, even with the warrant that you have to use them, if it is legal to the case that you're using the cell site simulator evidence for. You have to call them a confidential informant. And so we've heard that word many times in the Idaho4, so people have brought it up. So some of the things that can happen with a cell site simulator. For one, they're notorious of breaking up signals. And it just kind of makes me think of certain things, like when we hear Kaylee's phone went offline at 2:56. Just went offline. You wonder that. And just like a trigger warning as I'm talking, another thing that it makes me think of is, and again, trigger warning, but I've always wondered how did this play out where a distress call was impossible with 2 adults in each room? Now, in Kaylee and Maddie's situation with all the questions, in that situation, I can see, because it appears maybe an attack happened on Maddie before Kaylee knew, and there wouldn't have been a second person. But in the case of Ethan and Xana, I've always just wondered, how is it that no distress call went out? Like, even if you're telling your Surrey to call 911 or text 911, what happened there? And did it have, if there was something blocking the signal, could it have played a role in the 911 call that night? So there's all sorts of different things. And, he didn't necessarily specifically mention, but he did hypothesize on a lot of this. And I think I probably talked about that enough. So, because I have like 40 more comments since I started talking about it. So Rolo says, the PCA says Bryan's phone showed it was in the area during the time of the crimes. So it obviously showed it was somewhere. Where? And it doesn't say, and it turned off neither. He assumes and speculates. And then Tom Rivers is asking Vivian, because Vivian has some local knowledge too. I'm sorry, Viviana. I don't know why. Viviana, what hours was the internet down for maintenance? I want DTS to comment on this. Is he still here? I don't think he has time to watch a 2-hour live stream. And MPD never verified the Maddie, what did you say to Adam video, right? Was it ever mentioned by them? Jen, I don't know. And Viviana says, Tom Rivers, I believe it was around midnight at 3 a.m. Whoa. And then Twist says he hasn't heard of documents being released. But now that you've said that, you know, I don't check that every day. I check it when I'm getting ready for videos. Now that I know that that's a rumor on the street, I'm going to be checking them. Thank you for the blessing. And Angel D bought a membership earlier, and I know I'm forgetting something just because I'm in like information mode, but I'm going to go back, and everyone who blessed me with a super chat or a membership, I just really appreciate your support, and I'll make sure to mention it in my members post tomorrow. So thank you so much. I really appreciate everything. Viviana says, Tom Rivers, they do weekly maintenance, so it isn't relevant. Also, it doesn't affect the internet or campus operations. It's just the web page itself. Annie Ruler says, Twiz, which also turned off cameras was my understanding. And then Tom says, Twiz, does that mean that campus security cameras use Wi-Fi would not have been active during that time? And Twiz says, Tom Rivers, if they were using Wi-Fi, yes. I believe someone from U of I said they were all wired and would all still work though. And then I'm glad Angel D agrees with me. She says, there's definitely a webcam on top of the water tower. When Michael Adario said, you know, it's a possibility, you know, I don't know if the angle would have been right, but to catch suspect vehicle number 1, but it is a possibility. All that's just a distraction. Oh, the internet being down. Maria. You're saying it 3 times so she appears like Beetlejuice. Robert, I am about to end the stream. I am like yawning. It's embarrassing. By the way, please visit True Crime Cult, my streaming buddy. He's going to be live tomorrow night. Robert, if you want to jump up on the members chat tomorrow night, you're welcome to. So. Okay. U of I has need for an upgraded radio towers from communications between EMs, fire, etc., etc. Could whatever that's affecting that also affect the cell towers? And she says that's documented from their own town hall meeting in 2023. And Viviana says Tom Rivers, the web page map doesn't affect cameras. That's kind of weird because we heard cameras were down. But wait, hold on, the web page. So it doesn't affect Wi-Fi? I guess that'd be my question, Viviana. We had her on earlier. You'll have to rewind. Everyone who likes TRP, who just tuned in, we have a lot of amazing sound bites from them. So please rewind if you missed them. We featured some of their best stuff from a great live stream they have. And I'll go back into my playlist and I'll link the live that they had down here. Same thing with Heather's video. And I've already linked the 4 creators we mentioned. I can't link Sigma Chai's video because he erased it, but you can find that video on my, you can find that on my channel. It has the thumbnail with Kylie Jenner on it. Unless she's lurking. Oh. You know, typically Unique, I'm trying to do 10 a.m. lives, but it's just not that successful. Like a lot of my true crimers, like if I look at my stats, my true crimers don't even start watching until like lunch. So I thought, okay, well, I'll do a late night. It's hard for me though, because I wake up really early. So I'm not to tell you guys my life story, sorry. Bulamoto misses Malia. Everybody apparently misses Malia. Malia is getting a lot of love. And so people know who we're talking about because we did use a lot of their video today. Oh, hold on. Okay, yeah, Thought Riot Podcast. We're talking about Thought Riot Podcast. Make sure you check them out. Encourage them to come back because they've been gone for a little while. And then RJ says, so it appears the DNA sheath and cast are the evidence the prosecution has against BK. And the metadata is available. And then there's like a lot of circumstances around it too. But yeah, those are the most, I think, important pieces of evidence. And that's why we're so carefully looking at them. Because what we want more than anything is to protect the right to a fair trial. I've heard people say that innocent until proven guilty only applies to the judge and the lawyers. But I would argue that innocent until proven guilty also applies to the jury. And that means it's a cross-section of somebody's peers. So innocent until proven guilty is an ethical standard that people should have before somebody is convicted. Because the fact of the matter is that the jury pool comes from us as citizens. That's why when you go up in front of a jury, if you have bias, you're asked to say it. If you can't, for instance, for example, stomach the death penalty, you say so. The innocent until proven guilty, although legally it might apply to the court, it applies to each and every one of us because we are the jury of peers. And it should be our ethical standard to have someone be innocent until proven guilty, because the mob mentality, I could talk about this for hours. I read a book in October called Killing the Witches by Bill O'Reilly. And it's a fascinating book. It's about the Salem witch trials. And the reason I'm bringing it up is what becomes so evident in these books is why initially when we drafted our Constitution, why we did take certain powers and didn't solely give them to small communities and towns and cities. We had to make a federalized, centralized government for some of these reasons. And the reason for it was the Salem witch trials. I mean, it played a huge role in our Constitution because all the power was left to these local governments. And I would just say that, we have to protect people's right to a fair trial because the mob mentality can take over and you can assume somebody's guilty and you have all the evidence in the world. But when you look back in retrospect, there could have been mistakes and you don't know everything. So I just, yeah, so I would say innocent and until proven guilty is extremely important in our society, and there's a reason why we emphasize it, and it's to prevent the mob mentality. So I didn't preach that right, but hopefully people pick up on my sentiment. Robert ate up that bunk post about Bryan not having a registered vehicle after. I listened intently too. I wasn't sure what it implicated. But. Oh, and then so Rebecca Bruce says, Viviana, I really don't like that they'll use the Linda Lane footage. I think they have more solid evidence we are privy to. I can't wait to hear the evidence that they think they may have. Could Linda Lane have been leaked by somebody to discredit it? Just throwing it out there. Same thing with Garrett Discovery. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, I don't know which comment I put on the screen. Personally, when I saw Officer Payne take the stand, it answered a lot of questions for me, and I was able to kind of move on from the case. He was washing his hands of the case. To me, that's huge. I know. I can't believe I'm still on here, Robert. I don't know how this is happening. And then Angria V says, the forensic frenzy episode explains all that stuff with AT7T, etc. Which episode? Next time we do Linda Lane. Okay, Heather says the scope of the cross then is what you're getting at, Daniel, as to why they didn't even try to discredit the cast at all. Wow, that's a hard comment to absorb. Let's read it again. The scope of the cast was the scope of the the scope of the cross then is what you're getting at, Drunk Turkey Show, as to why they didn't even try to discredit the cast. That's a good point. I think they were just sticking to the point, but I don't know. Wait. Well, Kiki just didn't happen to me every time I see your name. Yes, I know. It's like a Freudian slip or something. The hours and hours of my life I'll never give back. Okay. Heather Fitzgerald, they also did a cross one Payne said there's no footage of the car either, but you won't hear about that. I forgot about that. That's a good point. Yeah, she does a great, and you know what? Here's the thing. She does do a good job explaining, and that's why we're all talking about it right now, is because she made a great video. She made a thorough video. Why did you say that, Rolo? Who is mean to Rolo? We just got him back. Oh, I'm sorry, Pig. yeah, that's why it looks like two flashers left and Kiki's accidentally. Are we talking about We're talking about Rolo, right? I don't know. Did Too Fast say something really bad that I missed? Or I probably displayed it, knowing by the way I'm operating tonight. I know what happened, Rolo. Let me adjust my lady here. Do I have to go leave another apology comment on your channel? I know, who said you didn't want to? Did I like react to your comment harshly? I'm sorry. I would never want anyone to think their comment isn't valid. I've only erased, I think, 2 comments tonight. They were very early on, though. I know, I'm falling asleep too. I'm tired too. No, I didn't take it that way. Thank you for showing up tonight too. Great comments, and we really appreciate you being part of the live chat. Yeah, all right. Well, it is Monday night. It is a weeknight. We all have to work in the morning, likely. And everybody's trailing off. There's still more to say about this. And there are and we just want to thank everybody who kind of participated in this. I'm going to show some banners really quickly of the creators we featured tonight so that you can go check out their channels. So we had Drunk Turkey Show on here who made some great comments. He kind of gave us the other side of the argument to all these points I was bringing up tonight. Make sure to check his show Wednesday because he's going to be doing some updates on it. And what the thumbnail says to Daniel's show is that this is information we haven't heard before. So you're going to want to check it out. Next on the list, we have Heather Fitzgerald, one of my mods and one of my fact checkers. Please go check out her channel. She has some great sound bites, and she, yeah, like I said, she's one of my fact checkers. She's someone you can trust. We also watched Thought Riot podcast earlier. Please go subscribe to Thought Riot. I learned so much from watching their videos recently, and they were highly recommended to me. And Brendan has a lot of expertise when it comes to cast in metadata, and it's just it's a great listen if you're just looking for case-related things. They stick to the facts. They're a great show. And then we had Sigma Chai. So make sure to check out Sigma Chai. But I think even more importantly, make sure you check out his Substack, which I linked below, because if you really want case detailed writing, things that stick to the point, he does wonderful vlogs. So check out his Substack below and check out his channel too. And did I get everybody? Yeah, that's everyone. Is Rolo still gone? Hey, JB, thanks for showing up. And Meg. Yeah, the chat's probably getting out of control. Okay, thank you for everyone. Oh, Jackie, thank you for the blessing. Thank you for the super sticker. Thank you for everyone who gave super chats, super stickers, and memberships tonight. I'm going to make sure to list them all in my members post tomorrow morning. And with that, I'm going to sign off for the night. Thank you for checking out what I had to say. Please tell me what you think, and I hope you have a great night.